Hey, Natalie.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How is everything going?
Everything is going good, taking one day at a time with everything.
Yes, yes.
And that's all we can do,
That's
really.
all we can do. It really is all we can do.
Yes, it's been a while. So how have you been?
I've been good under pressure with this pandemic. Listen, the therapists are screaming. It's been a lot, but it's getting better now. But I mean, COVID was tough with the therapists. We've been working hard.
Really?
Mhm.
So like what are like the cons since the pandemic? Kids home, all families, everybody at home, everybody locked down, nobody can go nowhere. So what are the cons for a therapist of the things that you have been going through?
Oh, I think just not having enough time for ourselves. We give, doing therapy, as much as people think it's just talk, we give of ourselves. We research topics to talk about, we research our interventions, our treatment plans, we, talk to family members, we talk to medical professionals, we talk to everybody to probably deal with one patient. And when you have people who have full caseloads, taking on extra caseload to help the people that are coming in, I mean, most of the time right now, if you call a therapist office, there is a wait list right now because COVID
Wow.
has so many people just on edge.
Wow. So what is like one of the main things a lot of people come for therapy for at this moment?
Most of it right now is anxiousness and depression because the anxiety has just sat in so long.
Okay. So what are one of the first steps that somebody can take that is going through that? And a lot of times people don't like going to see a therapist and say, "Oh, I'm going to counseling." So if someone is watching now that never been to counseling, don't believe in counseling or anything, what are some of the things that they can do so that they can get through the day and analyze the issues that they are having at home without the help?
Well, I mean, I'm always going to advocate for help because, I'm a mental health therapist. And a lot of times we don't recognize when we're having a lot of negative self talk in our head. And sometimes we think the conversations we're having in our head is logical. And
Yeah.
that's why talk therapy works a lot because it helps you to vocalize and process as you're vocalizing your thoughts and getting a clearer idea for yourself. But some things that can help people at this time have been structuring out your day, even if you don't have anything to do. Like, for example, you're laid off or you have no one to watch the children in your home. I don't care if you're scheduling, hey, breakfast is at 8 and snack is at 11, and give yourself things to do and transitions for yourself and your children so that you can absolutely kind of get into a rhythm of things because we are grieving our processes that we had before COVID, honestly.
Yes. Yes, that is true indeed. Because it's like a lot of different things that's accumulating in our minds for us to actually deal with our problems that we already having, and then even more problems that we are accumulating during the pandemic, as far as losing a job, losing family members,
Mhm.
being locked down in the house, and then you around family a lot more closer than normal because usually parents going to work, kids going to school. That's their break time.
Yes.
So it wasn't no breaks. And
No.
then you got some parents that ain't been to school in years and don't even want to understand their child's homework either.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That is so true. So what is the things that you could give advice to a person? Because sometimes people will have a mental issue and not really understand that they really do have it.
A lot of times people don't recognize that they're in a state of having like a mental health issue, because it seems as if it's business as usual. But if you're having a hard time really engaging in your regular day-to-day activity, it's hard for you to get up to go to work. It's hard for you to take a shower. It's hard for you to go to sleep at night. It's hard for you to wake up in the morning. You're eating a lot. You're drinking a lot. You're using substances. When it starts to get outside of the realm of the things that you do regularly and normally, then you should look into, hey, I may be having an issue. A lot of times we don't recognize that we are in kind of a cycle until somebody says something to us, or until we notice, I've had someone say, hey, I noticed that, I used to drink just like a half a glass of wine, but the other week I paid attention and I drank like a bottle, and I've never done that before. So sometimes it takes markers like those that to have people recognize, like, okay, something else is going on. I need to find a different way to cope with whatever is going on.
That's true. It's one of the words that are really common right now.
Uh-huh.
And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because sometimes the individual is one themselves and they don't realize it, but they blame it on other people. And that word is narcissist.
Oh my goodness. Everyone talks about narcissism.
Yes. So can you inform people and educate them on the word narcissist? Because sometimes people will take narcissist to a whole nother level where it's really not that. And then sometimes they don't realize they are one themselves by keep doing it. And just educate them, please, Natalie.
Well, a narcissist is a person who has an excessive interest or admiration for themselves, which I think people can kind of mix up with being very confident, being very arrogant at times, being very, very in tune with the things that they bring to the table. So sometimes we can um, border with narcissism, but narcissists really do, at the end of the day, think of themselves. It's very much so about them. And they utilize tactics to keep you in that space. You'll find them doing manipulation. You'll find them with gaslighting. You'll find them with telling lies to keep the story up. You'll find that, you'll find yourself doing so much more to keep them engaged. And so narcissism, a lot of times people in relationships don't recognize that they are dealing with a narcissist, because they may feel like, hey, I'm dealing with someone confident, I'm dealing with someone who knows what they want, and I'm dealing with someone who's about that life. When in reality, that person really they struggle with a lot of insecurities, and they project those insecurities onto you and then have you in this cyclical stage of control.
Yes, so true. So, does mental health affect men and women differently?
Absolutely. Mental health affects men and women very differently. And being that this is Women's Health Month, this is one of the topics that I feel um, is important, because for me, health is not just physical health, it's mental, emotional, financial, spiritual, and everything else that encompasses who you are as a whole being.
Right.
Women go through a lot of change in their bodies. They deal with hormonal changes. They just deal with a whole bunch of symptoms and systems within their body that men just don't deal with. So absolutely, it does affect men and women. You will find that women diagnoses of like anxiety and depression are higher than men. So there are some diagnoses that are a little bit more prevalent in one than the other.
Wow. Do you find it hard? Who's more manipulative? Who do you think? It's like as far as that area, because sometimes us women, we're emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And some men like, why you so emotional? Want us to tough it out, and just stop getting on their nerves. It could be a lot of things, really. But who like who carries the most problems as far as how they're feeling, as far as being in that place?
There's no real way to define that because everyone is an individual and they carry their issues and problems differently. So
Okay,
whereas,
y'all heard that.
yeah, because listen, a man can't say, "Hey, I know what it is to push a baby out my hoo-ha." But a woman can't say that she knows all the burdens of being a man. She can say, hey, I can understand some aspects of it, but there are other aspects that women will never understand. So I'm just saying, like, we were made different for a purpose. So because we're made different, we experience things different. So I can't say whose pain is worse than the others.
What are some diagnoses that are not discussed as far as the things that women face? Because we face a lot of things, but what are some of the things that we really just don't take accountability for, or to a point where we just like shove it? Because sometimes we can shove things in our lives that's just so deep and we just don't even realize that it's even still there or is just there overall.
I think that sometimes women process trauma a lot more internally than men do. I'm not going to say that there is always scientific fact, but I'm sure there's some stats out there that may be able to support that. But they internalize a lot more. Men tend to be a little bit more vocal. Even though they may not share that they're having an issue, they may act out in a different way. Whereas women seem to want to take on the world and manage it, kind of like that kind of superwoman syndrome. We deal with the house, the job, the kids, the husband, and trying to maintain if we have a business and all other things. So sometimes that can be really overwhelming. But one of the areas that I don't think really is discussed when it comes to women and mental health is really around maternal mental health. And I know that you've recently saw in the news how women are their death rate is higher when it comes to birthing in the United States for African American women, because sometimes it's not recognized that, hey, we're feeling pain. But I say that because although birthing is an experience that is traumatical, maternal mental health is real. People think that it's just postpartum, but there is perinatal issues when it comes to pregnancy because your hormones are so out of whack. And people don't recognize that that can even go to the point of psychosis where people need to be hospitalized because they're just so emotionally charged or their hormone level is so out of whack while they're going through this pregnancy.
Wow. Could you inform me more? Like I was telling you before, women are emotional. Um,
Mhm.
it's a lot of women sometimes that be in relationships and they have so much going on in their personal lives, yet they rather please their mate, their other half, than
Mhm.
actually pleasing and putting themselves in a healthy position. Can
Mhm.
you explain to them how that affects them mentally by being a people pleaser, or doing things to make that man happy only, instead of the communication for them to come together and have a healthy relationship?
Self-esteem and self-empowerment is a major thing. And a lot of times, societally, due to gender roles, women were tended to be the person to kind of be a little bit more meek, a little bit more look to the man, things of that nature. So sometimes we lose ourselves in servitude or in committed relationships or in these relationships where we feel like we need to give more to be able to receive. A lot of people don't recognize that number one, we teach people how to love us. And number two, the way we love is the way we want to receive love. And I don't think people recognize that. So sometimes we're giving those things and we're loving those ways in hope to be able to receive those things in return. But that's not necessarily true that that is not in your partner to do or for them that they've ever even recognized that that's a need that you're trying to have. Now, working in regards to self esteem and self empowerment, that takes a lot of self-work. And a lot of times people don't want to look at themselves. They really have a hard time processing through their own feelings and emotions and dealing with the stuff that hasn't seen the light of day since probably childhood.
That is so true. Um, you mentioned as far as how women will lose themselves.
Mhm.
What are some exercises or different things that a woman can do once she realizes that she isn't herself and she's losing herself? How can she gain herself back? What are some exercises that she could practice on doing on a daily basis for herself to realize, okay, I need
Mhm.
to do this to build myself back up?
Well, some of the major things that I think, well, some of the things that I've used, and I don't know, every therapist does their own thing a little bit different, but I always start off with like some positive affirmations, trying to teach people how to start to speak more positively. We live in a society of a lot of negative, and having positivity become a part of your daily language changes a lot of things around you, seeing the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. So speaking about those positive things in regards to you can be really, really helpful. Another thing is journaling. I know a lot of people hate writing, but what I have found is writing helps. When you're writing with a pen and paper, you're physically exerting, so it takes some of that pressure off of you. You're actually getting it off your chest, so it pulls down some of that anxiety and it gives you time to process. And a lot of times people don't recognize that in journaling, you're able to catch patterns that you didn't recognize before. That every time you're around Aunt Becky, your anxiety's through the roof, or every time you see cousin Tony, you get jitters for whatever reason, or you're annoyed for whatever reason. So sometimes with journaling, you'll pick up, okay, there's an issue here with either this person, place, or thing, and I need to kind of get to the crux of what's really going on with
Okay, so
that.
that's true. So with it being Women's Month, right? We have a lot of women that you know, we're strong women.
Mm-hmm.
We know how to get by and get through life and how to make something out of nothing. It's
Mm-hmm.
so many things that we have and can do in
Mm-hmm.
our lives.
Mm-hmm.
What are things to a point where a woman realized that you are not self-helping yourself, you're self-draining yourself?
Absolutely. Like a lot of times, women don't realize that they are wearing themselves down to the point of burnout because they feel like they have to do everything for everybody. But you are only an individual. There is nothing that you can really do beyond yourself. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we don't recognize that we're burning out because we feel like it's our duty to do. It's what we need to do. So some things you may see in yourself is excess muscle tension, high anxiety, you're irritable all the time, you can't sleep or you sleep too much, aches and pains all over your body, or you can't concentrate or get tasks done. So those are some things you may see when you are really at that point where you're going to hit the wall.
So what are some things that a woman can do as far as reaching out to get mental help? Because our mental health really don't have to mean as though we're going insane or we crazy or things like that. Mental health can be something like so strategic, small,
Mhm.
and it's a problem to a point where we need to seek help.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that women can know? Like, look, it's okay for you to get help. It's
Mhm.
okay for you to do this. What are some of the things that you can give advice to them on about that?
Um, I would say a lot of times if you're not feeling like yourself and you feel like you need help and just someone to talk to that's unbiased, then I would say reach out for help. But I know, especially in um, people of color, or marginalized communities, um, mental health is still very, frowned upon and looked on as a stigma. Um, you don't have to be in a whole mental health psychosis break to get help. You can be overwhelmed. You can be a little bit stressed. You can be, not feeling like yourself. You could just not be sleeping. Maybe you just want to talk to somebody who's definitely not going to take your business and run it all over the place. A
Yeah.
therapist can help you process and get through that. My thing is, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for yourself. If you feel there is a need, then reach out to someone. And there are plenty of different platforms that you can reach out to for help. Clinicians of color, Black therapists rock, therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black men, psychology today. There's so many different places where you can find a directory to find a therapist that will fit the mold that you would like it
Yes, that is right. That is so true.
to.
Um, one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, even though we may be that superwoman, that strong woman, the ones that's able to carry things and do things, what would a woman do as far as regarding seeing signs and symptoms within their friends that are successful also? What can they how can they address that and bring that to their attention on them seeking help before it gets worse than what it is?
Honestly, if they're your friend, you should be able to go to them and speak to them and say, hey, I noticed that, you're not eating as much, or I noticed that you haven't been sleeping well. Is everything okay? And if they're willing to open up and talk to you, then speak to them about it. But if it's something that you feel that is a little bit out of your scope, or you feel like they need more, then make a suggestion to them. Say, hey, why don't you contact a therapist? If not, there are so many different hotlines. We have the suicide hotline, we have the warm line, where it's not like a crisis, but I just want someone to talk to. There are so many different services out there where people are available if you just need someone to talk
Yes. Could you explain to people also how important it is to get rest? Sometimes as an entrepreneur, everyone say most entrepreneurs don't get no sleep.
to.
And I think that's just full of crap. Cause
Listen, it is definitely it is. I was just speaking to someone today about I said, what was my statement? I said that time and money are two of the commodities that if you don't tell it what to do, you'll never know. You won't know where it went. You won't know how to get it back, because you
yeah,
can't get back time. And when you lose money because you didn't tell it what to do, like it's not paying this bill or it's not taking care of that need, then you're wasting it and you're not sure where it went. And sleep, if you don't get enough sleep, you will go into psychosis. And
mhm,
people don't think that it's serious, but it's real. It really is real. After 3, 4 days of no sleep, you will start to hallucinate. You will start to actually have a mental breakdown. Sleep is so important. I try to tell every single client that I have, work on your sleep hygiene. I talk to them about guided meditation and let them know, like, hey, there's this great group on YouTube called The Honest Guys. I like recommending The Honest Guys because they have an extensive library. YouTube is free. And they have 60 to 90-minute meditations that if you can't sleep, it'll help you sleep with some white noise, with some easy sound, with some breathing exercises, just to help get you into the rhythm. Think of it as like a baby. When you're getting a baby ready to go to bed, you are starting their nighttime routine. So you're making sure they get their little bath and their lavender, and you're lotion and massaging them down, and you're putting on their little fluffy pajamas, and you spread the bed and warmed it up for them, and you tuck them in real tight in their little wrap, and you're getting them into the mode to let them know, like, okay, when we start this process, that means it is nighttime. It's time to go to bed. And that's what we have to do for ourselves. We
yeah,
have to create a sleep hygiene routine so that we can tell our bodies, like, okay, it's time to really start to come down, and prepare for rest.
yeah. So rest is so important. We have Dana Park. She said, "What sleep?"
What sleep? I know, Danny. I know, and she's talking about me because I'm always doing. Yes, I'm always doing the most. I blame it on my Jamaican parentage. That's it.
Oh, that's what you gonna blame it on?
I'm gonna blame it on my mama. Yes.
Oh my God, that's terrible. So, a lot of people, even during pandemic or just overall in their daily lives, I know, sometimes people deal with emotional suffering.
Hmm.
Emotional suffering can come in many forms. It could come
Hmm.
from a personal life experiences. It could come from work. It could come from a new mom dealing with a baby, or mom that has more than one child, or even sometimes one child. And
Hmm.
I know sometimes it causes maybe anger, anxiety, poor self-care, hopelessness, personality change. What are different things that they can actually do to actually void these, like, certain withdrawal and isolations that they may encounter? Because we can isolate ourselves from people too.
Absolutely. And I mean, COVID has shown you what exactly isolation does. Like everyone was like, okay, the cabin fever is getting real. Let me out of this place. So yeah, I mean, we do have people who go through a lot of things right now. And some of the things are things that I spoke about, the guided meditation, getting out into nature. Go outside for a walk. Go into the tree lines, on the grass, look at the flowers if you're someplace warm, look at the snow if you're someplace cooler. Changing your environment, getting up, walking, and really engaging with nature is very helpful. If you can't walk due to whatever bodily condition, go for a drive. Just take yourself out and look at the leaves on the tree. Look at the deer. Look at the things that are going on around you. Go to some place that's different. It stimulates your mind. It gives you that whole excitement of doing something new. Like I was saying, practicing your sleep hygiene, majorly important. Um, Diet is also important. Exercise can be really helpful when it comes to getting those really good hormones pumping through your system, endorphins and all those things going. Really can help level out a lot of your moods. Definitely, if you can, talk to a therapist. I know a lot of people like, I can't afford a therapist. I don't have a job. I don't have this. I don't have that.
Mm.
Um, Most jobs give you an EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program. That program usually has an area where you can see a counselor. They give 4, 6, 8, 10 sessions per incident that's going on with you. Talk to them and see if you qualify for an EAP voucher to see a local counselor. Utilize your insurance if you have it to see a counselor. I know people are saying like counseling is not affordable. You afford what you want to afford. People pay $500 for an Xbox. A session with a therapist can run from like 70 on the low end, 320 if you're a couple on the higher end, but most averages around 90 to 125, $150. So my thing is you can afford it if you want to. It just depends on what's important to you.
That is true. I believe that if you're going to get a pair of Jordans, or if you eating out every day, all that money that you're spending, you could be saving that up.
You can. And if you talk to a lot of therapists, most therapists, they have sliding scale rates. They have different rates for different things that'll look at your income. They can give you an idea of where you may can get some assistance to get some therapy sessions. Maybe there's a state agency or a local clinic that's able to give you some sessions more affordably. There are even online platforms that are offering, if you talk to them about financial aid or financial benefit to help you afford some therapy.
That is good. And a lot of people don't know that.
Hmm.
Sometimes, when we think of counseling or therapy, you first think, I don't want them in my business.
Hmm.
It's none of their business. Or to a point, I can't afford it anyway because
Hmm.
I don't have insurance
Hmm.
or nothing like that. So what is something that you can encourage them more besides you releasing the information that you just did? What is encouraging ways that people can know, like, but you can get help any way possible.
Well, first and foremost, you always want to talk to your clients and let them know that by law we are held, accountable to be a confidential service. We can only disclose certain things if it is detrimental to your health or someone else. You know what I'm saying? If it means that someone may die or get severely hurt, those there are certain circumstances where confidentiality can be breached. But for the most part, all sessions are confidential. Secondly, like I mentioned before, there are different options for affordability. You just have to find out what resources are in your area. One of the first things I think people should always do overall is look at their local support, family and friends. Talk to the people that love you. A lot of times we can be fearful about the people around us instead of asking for help. If you have a loving family, because I know some families can be toxic, but if you have a loving family and you talk to them and tell them that you need help, they'll hold your hand through the process. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of times people don't know that people are dying on the inside or struggling or anything like that because nothing was ever said. The presentation is always happy, calm, and well. I was looking at that Meghan Markle interview, and for me as a therapist, looking at her, I could see that it was a lot going on there. But one of the things that struck me was when she said people were talking about how beautiful she looked in this particular gown and how happy she looked. She was like, that was the day she disclosed to Prince Harry that she had wanted to kill herself. And a lot of times we don't recognize that people are really having these really strong internal battles because they present well and they look pretty.
That is real true. And I sometimes see that every day. Sometimes people will find attention in different ways, not knowing that's a mental issue that you're having when you're seeking those different types of attention. And sometimes you're gonna seek the wrong attention, and it makes your mental health even worse than what it was before.
Mhm. Mhm. It
It,
is. We sometimes attention seeking can be a part of a diagnosis. So, when we look at people's behavior, sometimes, you know, you have to wonder, like, hey, is that person, we should ask ourselves, is that person really healthy? They're acting out in the way that they're acting out. What's really going
yes, that. What are some things that we can do to help improve our mental health?
on? Like some of the things I was mentioning before, taking ourselves for a walk, not internalizing things. Some other things that I haven't said, learning that the word no is a whole sentence. A
Yeah.
lot of times we burden ourselves by trying to stretch ourselves too thin. And if your cup is empty, you have nothing to pour to anyone else. So saying no is really important. Um, Setting boundaries. People will encroach on your boundaries if you don't set them. Set appropriate boundaries. I always give the description, and people always laugh at me. I like to always be visual for my clients when I'm talking to them. I'm like, setting boundaries is like having a home. When you have your own home, do you leave the doors and the windows of your home open? And they're like, no. I said, okay. So then why would you allow people in and out, tearing up your whole self, doing all types of things to you when you wouldn't allow them to do that to a home? Why would you allow them to do that to you? So I said, we teach people how to treat us. If people want to engage you, have them engage you respectfully. When you invite them into your home, you don't expect them to have their shoes trekking through the house muddy. No, you'll ask them to take them off at the door and dust their feet off. So when someone comes to you and they're trying to dump garbage on you, gossip, whatever, that's not healthy, set that boundary and say, you know what? That's not for me today. I'm not about negativity. I'm about positivity. And if it's not healthy or right for you, change the subject and move on. So we need to set the boundaries of the things that we want to let in and the things that we don't.
Yeah, boundaries are really important, and sometimes we don't have those set and ready
Hmm.
automatically from the beginning of even having a relationship with that person. You
Hmm.
have to already know what you want what
Mhm.
you don't want, what you accept, and what you won't accept. And you
Mhm.
have to set it straight because it get to a point a person will run over you. They
Mhm.
will take advantage of you. They feel like they're accountable for any and everything that involves you and everything. And that's really a mental illness on both parties because you
Yep.
are allowing them to do it and you actually see it. 9 times out of 10, a lot of us see things that are wrong with someone, especially
Yep.
us as women. We see things, but we think we could fix it. We
Yeah.
think it's okay. We think we could change it. And sometimes it's not possible at all. Sometimes we just have to remove those individuals from our lives so that we can either move forward or they're going to come with us and help each other as
Yeah.
far as growth, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So my thing is, we tell people, or we set those boundaries and we let people know, okay, these are the things that are acceptable and these are the things that are not acceptable. No, do we initially engage people with rules? No, but people will do things to test to see where your boundaries are. Just like children, how far can I go with my parents? um,
Yeah,
Individuals will do that. I'm gonna see how far I can go, and when you set that boundary up, like, okay, that's it, then they know, okay, I know that I can't push past this.
that is true. And you know, kids keep pushing you and pushing you until you tap that butt.
All the time, all the time.
Seriously. Now on your behalf, it's many people that are counselors, a therapist, and everything. What do you do for yourself from helping other people? Because you know, sometimes it could become very wary and strong with entering people's spirits entering into yours. And sometimes you could carry those emotions too. What are things that you do for yourself?
For me, I can tell you, last year for me was a whirlwind, and from April to December, your girl was not healthy at all. She was burning the candle at both ends, working, because my heart is for people. So when I have people who are struggling, and they really are like, well, I want to talk to you and I don't want to talk to somebody else, and you do, and you go and you do. But I hit a wall in January. That was a brick. I was like, I need a break. And I had to take 2 weeks off, and I had to revamp some things. And so what I did was took a step back. I'm taking more time off. I am engaging with more outside fresh air things, and not sitting in front of a computer humped over each day in sessions dealing with people, because you give of yourself, even when it's just therapy through telehealth. You're looking up stuff for your clients. You're thinking about diagnoses. You're looking for the best treatment modalities to help them get to where they need to be. And humans are fickle. There's no one size fit all. So, it's a trial and error sometimes when you're working to try and figure out what would be the best thing to help them get to their best person. And so it does take a lot of energy. So, getting rest, and definitely taking breaks, going for walks, being outside. I like going for long drives, and just taking some time off with my family.
That's good. Well, that's good that you were aware of that before it had gotten any worse. 'Cause sometimes, sometimes you be like, oh man, I really can't deal with this, you know, and you be all messed up.
Yes.
Seriously. Now, as far as this is with it being Women's Month,
Hmm.
so this I'm gonna take it real broad.
Okay.
Okay, so with it being Women's Month, and
Hmm.
we know women are here to support each other,
Hmm.
love on each other, what type of mental illness that we could actually recognize when we go to women groups and we
Hmm.
call ourselves interacting with women or going to events, want to interact with them, but yet we have the mean girls that act mean to other women that's trying to network with them, or sometimes they have their head on their shoulders, not knowing they're being really nasty to a woman that really at a point of time looked up to them.
Well, I don't know if that is necessarily mental health as opposed to being a personality issue. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, women, especially women of color, no matter the genre, but women, they're just competitive. You know what I'm saying? And we have always been in this situation where women are just pit against women instead of being supportive. I think that there have been a lot more movement towards women coordinating and being more supportive of one another. But even in those groups, you will find cliques and the mean girls and the attitudes and the I think I'm better, just the have and the have nots type moments. And I think those are things that the only way you can change them is by changing yourself. It has nothing to do with them, and you can't control what they do. And I mean, I tell people all the time, you can only account for you. You can't account for them and their behavior. I mean, yes, there will be some moments where they learn, like they've misspoken to someone that had enough clout to pull their coattails or whatever. But that's a wall that they're going to have to run into. You can only deal with you and make sure that you are held to a higher standard. You are being held to a higher standard, and you are able to stand in that moment of being held at a higher standard. You can't compare yourself to others, because if you do so, you're always going to feel like, hey, I'm not enough, or I can't catch up, or whatever. When you have your own gifts that you were given to be the person you are.
That is true. And it's just really about having that self-confidence and staying in your lane and knowing your worth, because a lot of women got to realize that God created you to be the way he wanted you to be.
Mhm,
He didn't create you to look at the next woman and like, wow, I want to do that too. Why is she being blessed and I'm not being blessed?
mhm, mhm,
And it's all about timing. It's all about where you at in your line of work of where he have you at. And it's just taking the time to grow,
mhm,
literally. And I think a lot of women need to realize that their time is coming
mhm,
and your blessings will always be there, but it may be something that's blocking it. It could be someone in your life, it could be something that you haven't healed from, grew from, to a
mhm,
point it won't help you move forward just yet. It's just not that moment.
mhm,
So I think women should just take more
mhm.
seeking and looking at themselves like, I am where I'm supposed to be, but let me continue to be a better me.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we can do is we can always look at our sisters across the diaspora or just in the world and say, "Oh my God, I want to be where she is." You want to aspire for more because you see someone that you know and you admire wanting more. So there's nothing wrong with aspiring for more and gaining that drive and that momentum to get more. The only thing that you can do, you can say, okay, right now isn't my time, but when my time comes, I'm gonna be ready, and just cheer them on. Like, sis, I'm happy for you. Let me keep doing what you keep doing, what you're doing. I'm gonna keep doing what I do, and let's try to cheer each other on, because hey, today you may be up, but tomorrow you may be down, and you don't know if someone's going to reach their hand back to help you up, and vice versa. That's what it should be. But I know that we have been always kind of caught up in this, oh, she can't have it because I can't have it. But if we spent more time communally, like how we have been, especially African Americans, but most cultures, of people of community. Like, we need to lean on one another. So if we did that and we just stood on each other's shoulders and built up, it would be amazing with how many things that we as women overall can accomplish.
Yes, that is now. As far as the services that you provide, you give out great information to help many women and a lot of our listeners.
Mhm,
Sometimes it's kind of hard to find women like you,
mhm,
and sometimes it makes people want to pull back and like,
mhm.
oh, I don't want to get help or anything. How can someone get in touch with you and
Mhm.
that do need the help and they enjoy this conversation that we had?
Okay, well, my website is my practice is called Restoring Harmony Counseling and Consulting. I am in Augusta, Georgia, by way of New York. Um, And my website is www.restoringharmonycounseling.com. You can also call my office at 762-585-4610. And if I can't help you, I always refer out into the community. Even if you're not local, I am a part of some wonderful, wonderful networks, Clinicians of Colors, Black Therapist Rock, Therapy for Black Girls, Therapy for Black Men, Psychology Today, like so many resources. I will reach out to other people or give you some contacts that you can try and see what you can find in your area.
Yes. And that's so needed because, sometimes we don't know where to go. We don't
Mhm.
know where to turn to. And you guys, you do it virtually too, right?
Yeah, I do telehealth, so I do virtual. Right now, I do have some temporary licenses in other states, so I can help people right now in New Jersey, West Virginia, and New Hampshire. Working on my New York, but for now, it's just New Jersey and those few states. I'm in Georgia, so Georgia, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and West Virginia.
That's still a blessing. Seriously, because it's like, a lot of people just be needing help in so many ways, even if it's something so small, and we could just get a session in and it gain a lot of understanding because a lot of us may not have someone to talk to, and sometimes it's good to talk to someone you don't know compared to someone that you know, because they may not fully want to tell you the truth
Mhm.
about you. So it's good to seek that help so that you're able to get the truth, or you could be able to heal from your situation or get a mutual understanding.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's what we're here for. Like, we have some wonderful men and women that are really here just trying to help people heal. And I know that sometimes you're afraid, but if you don't move out of your comfort zone, you're never going to attain what it is that you want. And that's a peace of mind and to really find joy or find help to get to that path of joy.
That's so true. For Women's Month, what is some words of encouragement that you could share with our ladies that are watching right now?
My favorite saying is to definitely give yourself some grace. Like I don't think I can say that enough. We expect ourselves to be so microwavable, and we're just not. We're complicated beings. It doesn't all just snap together immediately. It really takes time. So giving yourself some grace would be great. Learning to lean on people that you can trust, and getting support, because sometimes some things are going to be really difficult. So
Yeah.
getting some support to be able to hold your hand through some hard things are a plus. Lean into some women's groups that you do find nurturing. Not every women's group is petty. Lean into some women groups that are very nurturing. I love this group in my local area called Classy Ladies, and they're under Pastor Yannick's church, and they're a beautiful group of women. They're always super supportive of me. The women at Faith Outreach, which is my church, they always come out. They always support. They have like a whole prayer group of women, and every night at 10 o'clock we pray. Even if I'm not there, they pray for my crazy self. I'm always in a session, and they always intercede for me. My pastor, my first lady, they always intercede for me, and my natural sisters, I'm one of five, and they pray for me, and they always encourage me every single day. So there are women out there that will support you, stand in the gap, definitely give you strength when you don't have strength,
Hmm.
and help you through it. So just know at the end of the day, you don't have to be alone, but you have to show yourself friendly and at least put yourself out there to say, hey, I need some help.
Yes, definitely. I thank you for that. I thank you for being on my podcast again. Our conversations are always the bomb, though.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love coming on.
Thank you. So I appreciate you. Thank you again. And I will be talking to you soon so we can get you scheduled in for more informative conversations for our Life Her podcast community.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
Bye.